You know, our people have been devastated by colonialism and its ongoing effects. But we will get through this, and we will survive because we know who we are. This was one of the most powerful pieces of wisdom I've ever received, and it was delivered by an Australian Aboriginal elder to a classmate of mine when our master's program took us to Melbourne in 2001 to study the impacts of globalization. Nous savons qui nous sommes. We know who we are. And thus, by inference, they could withstand anything that was thrown at them. I was studying in a program that was focused on voluntary sector leadership and included concepts such as complexity science and systems thinking. But it didn't delve into the territory presented by this simple yet profound statement. The curriculum did not include centuries of therapy or spiritual exploration. For me, this was revelatory and challenging, and while the speaker was talking about a collective reality, I understood it as a source of resilience and strength on a more personal level. I was born an only child to immigrant parents here in Montreal. There wasn't a lot of family around, and the majority of my parents' friends were from other countries or provinces. I had a sense of being England identified through my father and a tenuous connection to South Africa via my mother, but neither of them had lived very long in Montreal, so my geographic and cultural identity was shallow. I didn't have a deep connection to place. With respect to my moral or spiritual sense of self, the focus in my formative years was on survival, as my mother became ill and died during my adolescence, while my father struggled with mental illness. In addition, I was at an elite private school here in Montreal, surrounded by affluence and privilege, which we did not have. I was with them, but not of them. As such, important transmitters of who I was were not evident to me. And besides, I needed to make it through the week or the month. I ended up defining myself by the friends I kept as opposed to who I really was or wanted to be. I fell into social justice work by chance, not out of a strong sense of conviction or set of values, but rather because my friends were involved. The values and work definitely resonated with me, but it almost seemed like a default choice. My sense of self, my self-definition, was based upon the people around me as opposed to a solid foundation of my own identity. I was like Zelig in the eponymous Woody Allen movie, morphing into whoever I needed to be at that moment to fit in. But now I was confronted with a piece of wisdom which made me think about something I'd never really thought about. And it offered a different, intriguing way of looking at survival. One which wasn't situational, but deeper, more fundamental, and timeless. This reflection challenged me to think about what drove me. What did I learn from the time I had with my parents, before and after things got difficult? What did I learn from my schooling and from my work to date? Without knowing it, I'd started a process to build and consolidate the bedrock of Andrew Woodall. The clearest articulation came when I took on a leadership role at the Canada Millennium Scholarship Foundation in 2004. For the first time, I was leading a national program, and I had a team of people for whom I was responsible. I needed to find a way to transmit who I was, what I believed, and therefore where I wanted us to go. But I didn't have a ready-made script. So together we developed 3 principles, pillars, we called them, which would guide our work. They were, it's all about relationships. how you do something is as important as what you do, and we're all in it together. While these pillars related to the office, they also resonated with the way I wanted to be with my family and friends and in my volunteer work. Well, here I am, 24 years later, and I'm still chewing on the nugget of wisdom from the Aboriginal elder. I can say that I have a better understanding of who I am, but old habits of survival die hard, and having some fundamental beliefs doesn't forego the daily challenge of actually putting them into practice. I guess this is work that never ends, but shifts with time as one learns more about the world and oneself.